Welcome to Everyday Martial Artist, a weekly podcast where you'll join me, Brian Doucette, as I interview a different martial artist each episode and hear their story. Some guests you may have heard of, and some you probably haven't. Be sure to subscribe where all your favorite podcasts are available. Also visit our website at everydaymartialartist.com. If you're listening for a specific interview, I sure hope you'll stay and check out the other episodes. A very special thank you to Topher Williams for our custom theme music. And now, the newest episode of Everyday Martial Artist. Everyday Martial Artist is brought to you by KOonline.com for all your martial arts needs. Sparring and safety gear, rank belts, uniforms, weapons, patches, and more. Wholesale supplies made by martial artists for martial artists. Visit us today at ko-online.com. You know, one question I ask every guest on Everyday Martial Artist is about their favorite martial arts book. And there's never been one quite like Martial Theory by Steve Perlman, described as the art of war for the martial arts. Martial Theory helps any martial artist or instructor take their understanding and teaching to the next level. And at martialtheoryU.com, you'll find a global community with instructor groups, Q&A with Steve, live events, and demonstrations to help you apply martial theory directly to your training. It's not just a book, it's a movement. Find Martial Theory on Amazon, and when you join martialtheoryU.com, use discount code EverydayMA for 20% off. That's under $20 a month for life. That's martialtheoryU.com, code EverydayMA. Hello and welcome to Everyday Martial Artist. I'm your host, Brian Doucette, and as you do every week, we're joined by a brand new guest talking about their life and their journey throughout the world of martial arts. My guest today was born in Lafayette, Louisiana in 1987, a child of the 90s who grew up on a steady diet of Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, and the idea that strength meant discipline, purpose, and service to something greater than yourself. His childhood was far from easy. Growing up with an abusive older brother, he learned early out of necessity how to de-escalate danger, how to stay calm when others couldn't, and how to protect the people he loved. At 13 years old, he stepped onto the mats at Silver Dragon TaeKwonDo Academy in Morgan City, Louisiana, under Master Raymond Rutledge and Master Brian Rutledge. Under their guidance, he learned not just how to kick and punch, but how to think. Master Ray taught him resilience, humility, and the value of keeping one's guard up physically and spiritually. By 18, he earned his first degree black belt before heading to Louisiana State University, where he continued training, leading the LSU Taekwondo Club. He went on to earn a bachelor's degree in biological sciences and a master's in plant pathology, eventually moving to Fargo, North Dakota to manage greenhouses for NDSU and unexpectedly becoming a devoted single father. Years later, while simply driving around looking for an arcade, fate intervened. He and his daughter discovered Red River Traditional Taekwondo. I'm sure my listeners recognize that name by now. Soon he found himself right back where he belonged, training, assisting, and giving back. Today he teaches a dedicated Friday sparring class, not for money or recognition, but because he believes service is the highest calling. Please welcome my guest today, Mr. Addison Plaisance. How you doing today, Addison?
Pretty good, Brian. That was an awesome introduction, man. You just went off the cuff with that. Nice.
Yeah. So many of my guests compliment about that, and I take my intros very seriously, man. They're what, if people don't think the intro sounds interesting, they're not going to listen. So I with my radio background and voiceover, I've actually had a handful of my guests ask me to send them just the intro so they could put it on their voicemail. So like, yeah, okay, no worries.
I mean, I want to play that before I give my next presentation for the seminar at NDSU.
Hey, there you go. Hey, if you want me to record something special, man, I'll do it for you. We're friends. So I mentioned, Red River Taekwondo. A lot of my listeners know that's been my school since 1994. Master Jim is a super important part of my life. And so I met Addison, probably about a little over 3 years ago, maybe we first met, 3.5.
Really? Wow. Okay.
It's been a while. I mean, I came back to class for that summer, and that's when we first met. And then I pop into the school and stuff and say hi. And yeah, I mean, we probably really started talking the last year and a half, maybe. But I think we first met about 3.5 years ago.
That was 3 ACL surgeries ago, man. It's a lifetime ago.
There we go. Hey, I still haven't had one, man. I've been putting mine off since 1992. So.
Oh, you popped it and it's still just hanging on there by a thread?
Day before my 16th birthday, I completely blew out my lateral meniscus and my ACL and never had it repaired. Back then in the 90s, they wouldn't do it until you were done growing. And so they said, doctor told me, the orthopedic surgeon, he goes, until you get this rebuilt, he's like, no skateboarding, no martial arts, no basketball, basically nothing, no paintball, all the stuff I was doing. And I ignored him. And I just went to physical therapy and started working out. And to this day, I actually bumped into him like 15 years ago. And he's like, yeah, well, so when did you finally have the surgery? I'm like, I still haven't. And he's like, what? So yeah, no, I ignore doctors a lot, and I have extremely high tolerance for pain. So it's all good. But
Yeah,
cool.
until you go snowboarding that one time, your legs has been at a 90-degree angle.
That's how it happened the first time. It was about 45
it was
45-degree angle playing kickball, actually.
The most extreme of the extreme sports.
Exactly.
Kickball.
Yeah, no, dude threw the ball at me to try to get me out, and it went low and tripped me, and my knee bent 45 degrees the wrong way, and my classmate said, ow. And my gym teacher said, shake it off. So, yeah.
Walk it off, take a salt tablet.
Exactly. Good time. So, but hey, this isn't about me. It's about you. So what we do with all my guests, I'm not sure if you've had a chance to listen to many episodes yet, but what we do is, I mentioned you started when you were young, but I want to go back to the very beginning. I want to know where that first interest in martial arts came from, where that spark was that kicked off your martial arts journey.
Well, like you said, my childhood sucked. I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I was beat a lot, and I was also the only white kid on my street, so I was beat out in the street too.
Dang.
And I had to learn how to talk my way out of a lot of things, being a short guy with no basketball skills. So my older brother, he started Taekwondo whenever I was 13, and he was 3 years older than me, so he was 16.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to try it too. And we went there, and I got beat there too, but in a controlled way.
Yeah.
And then it got a lot more fun once he went off to college, and I realized, and then life got way better. And it had less to do with the physical stuff than the emotionals and like the control that some people have to have over others' lives,
mm-hmm.
where they tell you what to do, when to wake up, when you can sleep or not, and how much you're allowed to eat, things like that, And it's like, what was my childhood? It was not enjoyable. So I vowed I would do things different. I would not give in to the anger that was flowing through my family, because honestly, they could use some like emotional control classes,
mm-hmm.
because it's constant yelling and screaming and shouting and blaming each other and trying to find faults with each other and picking at each other. And I was just like, I started reading philosophy books around when I was 16 or so, and I thought, there's a better way. Why are we treating each other like this? We should be getting along because we're on the same team. I mean, we're in the same place at the same time doing the exact same thing, and we're family.
Yeah.
Like, we're not in a competition with one another. We don't need to be constantly yelling. And I tried to like change that in my family for a good few years between like 16 and 18. Then I went off to college, and I decided to move away from all that in Louisiana after I finished my master's degree and start anew.
Yeah. So I want to back up a little. I know you mentioned you were 13 when you followed your brother to Taekwondo. Now, before that, had it ever crossed your mind? I know you mentioned growing up on like the Power Rangers, the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Did it ever cross your mind before that, or not until you saw your brother doing it?
Not until I tried it myself, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
It was something about being told to do push-ups that just kind of clicked in my head, like, this is the correct way to do things.
Okay.
And also the discipline of being respectful to each other. I mean, it sounds simple, but saying yes, sir,
mm-hmm.
and thank you, and being polite, it's like a life hack.
Yeah.
I mean, like, somebody could be yelling at you, like, oh, you this, that, I hate your guts. And, they can be yelling at you, say, yes, sir, you're so right. I should be more like you. I'm so sorry. And immediately their face just goes like they question the universe. Like, wait, what is he saying to me? He's being polite while I'm calling him all these 4-letter words? It doesn't click.
Yeah, well, I have so many guests. I refer to them as sir. Oh, don't call me that. It's like, it's a habit. I've been doing it for 40 years. It's kind of hard to just not do it. So it's drilled into you, and it's a good thing. So that's good. So think about, maybe, like you said, you talked about doing push-ups, but think about that first class. What are some things you remember from that very first class? Obviously, that was enough to make you think, I want to come back. So that first class and those instructors that make you want to come back.
Well, Master Ray,
mm-hmm.
he said that after we did a whole bunch of push-ups and ran around the gym, we did laps. That was his favorite thing. He was a runner.
Nice.
And so we did laps, bunch of push-ups. We punched and kicked the punching bag. I kind of had anger issues as well that I inherited.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, all right, put on some boxing gloves. Have fun. You got 5 minutes, bag time. It's like, oh, yes, sir. And I just went to town on that, And then after about 2 hours of the class, because he had 2-hour classes that were Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 6 to 8 p.m. Yeah. So, and we always had maybe a 5-minute break in between, like at the 1 hour mark to get water and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the class, the last like 10 minutes, he said, all right, we're all going to sit down. I'm going to teach you how to meditate. And we sat down with our heels below our butt, knees on the ground, one hand, left hand inside of the right. And you put your thumbs so that your thumbs are almost touching. And you close your eyes just enough so that you can barely see a little bit of light dancing in front of you. Just a tiny bit of light.
Mm-hmm.
Then you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and out for 4 seconds. And you do that 3 times, and it's like you just wake up. You are the calm in the storm, because the outside world is crazy and chaotic, and there's lots of stuff going on that you cannot control. But what you can control is what's going on inside your head and what you do with your body. Once you do gain control of those things, you'll find that you can start to influence the outside world. But you should not even try to influence the outside world until you have mastered yourself.
That is cool.
And I was like, all right, I'm in.
That's awesome. So then you were going pretty much 3 times a week, like clockwork, for the next few years?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I didn't miss a class. It was actually funny. He would give awards for the smallest thing. Like, he wasn't the kind of guy that if you made it to every class for a whole year, you got an award. You got a plaque.
Nice.
He made a big deal of it.
That's
because,
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of the first rule of Taekwondo, or any martial art, or really anything that's important to you, is just show up.
Show up, yep. You got to be there.
You got to put your foot in the door. People always ask, like, what should I do? What's the secret? How should I work out? It's like, just be there, and it'll happen.
How long were you there before you did your first competition?
Oh, I was a white belt.
So pretty quick. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was like my first week or so. There was a competition in, I was in Morgan City, and the competition was in Houma, which is about a 45-minute drive down I-90.
Wow.
And my mom was like, you sure you want to do this, Addison? You've only been doing it for a week. And I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. By the way, my mom hated watching me spar. Hated. She would cringe. She had to cover her eyes half the time. My baby's going to get his head kicked off. And I was like, oh, yeah. Well, she ignored it whenever it was happening at home for 13 years.
Yeah.
Because she's the queen of denial. It never actually happened in her eyes,
yeah.
in her mind. But I went to the first tournament. I found out that my anger and aggression could be focused and put to good use.
Nice.
and I won easily, simply because I was more flexible than the other kids. Because I always took stretching seriously. I did like soccer and stuff like that.
Nice.
And I would like push myself. And I did swimming as well. And people just don't block their heads in the lower belts.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, their guard is like right at their belly. It's like, oh, look, there's an open spot right up top. Boom. And it's like game over. Like, all right, that was easy. Next round. The other kid cried.
Did you only compete in sparring, or did you also do pattern weapons?
I did pattern and breaking as well. I didn't start with weapons until I was a green belt.
Okay.
Master Ray sold me a $5 pair of wooden nunchucks when I was 14 years old,
Nice.
Which is probably not the wisest thing to give to a kid.
Hey.
But I learned really quick why they call them nunchucks. They make your make your elbow numb when you hit yourself with them.
I got my first pair when I was 10 and bought it from a local sporting goods store in my hometown. They sold them to kids. So
yeah. The wooden ones, not the foam ones.
They were wooden with the chain and the ball bearing swivel. I actually still have them. They're in my locker at River Taekwondo. I'll show you next time. I still have them.
Yeah, can I borrow it for the next tournament coming up on Saturday?
Maybe. I mean, they're like I said, when I was a kid, so they're probably not long. The chain's probably not long enough for your hand. You can definitely check them out, man. I can swing by tomorrow and show them to you.
Yeah, I've been working on my double nunchuck pattern because I've gotten first place with bow staff plenty of times, so I figured I'd try and up the ante. And the thing with nunchucks is that if you drop them, you lose. Yeah. But if you don't drop them, it looks really cool and you probably win. Yeah,
I think I have 5 or 6 pairs, so yeah. So what'd you do for breaking? Do you remember that first tournament?
It was run, jump, sidekick, as it is for all white belts usually. Yeah.
Yep. It's nice that some of the nowadays they go away. I mean, some tournaments still do that, but there are some now that they'll do like white belts, like 2 boards that you get to pick, 2 boards, this 2 boards, whatever. And they'll, working their way up towards that other thing. But I know when I started, it was run, jump, sidekick up until probably at least green belt, if not blue belt. You didn't get to start picking your boards until I think purple belt. It's changed a lot in the last 30 years. So cool. So all right, obviously you did well And the competition became something that was really important to you. So did you go to every tournament you could then after that?
Yeah. Sorry, I just had a 10-year-old whispering in my ear.
That's cool. No worries.
Yeah. Hashtag single dad life. Honestly, it's easier than being married. Don't tell anybody I said that. Because then you're only taking care of 2 people instead of 3, right?
That's okay. My wife doesn't listen, so that's okay.
Okay, cool. But yeah, and then once I got my driver's license, I drove myself all over Louisiana and Texas and even into Mississippi and just competed in everything I could. And there was the National Open that was in New Orleans.
Okay.
When I was, 17 or so?
Okay.
I'm sorry, was it New Orleans or was it in Dallas? Yeah, and I went to nationals and lost.
Okay.
Big time. Well, number one, I wasn't a black belt yet.
Mm-hmm.
So my training was quite incomplete, even though, as they say, the black belt is just the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, the real training starts then. Like everything from white belt on through red is just the warm up. That's just getting you ready with the basics so you're ready to start the real stuff.
That is true.
But yeah, I lost big time at nationals because I'm a short, stocky guy. And honestly, Taekwondo is a sport that is designed for skinny, tall people. And I don't blame that though, because I could have cut weight. And they even asked me, like, hey, bro, you sure you don't want to try and cut some weight? You can probably lose like 5 pounds of water weight right now if you run with this trash bag on your body. And I was like, no, that's dishonorable. I am this weight. I will compete as I am naturally, normally.
Nice.
And they're like, no, you're crazy. That's my question, though, is how did we design a sport where people are encouraged to lose 5 pounds of water before a weigh-in, even kids, just to get to the right weight? Like, shouldn't we be competing at the weight that we just are on a healthy day?
I literally just had a huge conversation with one of my guests about that. I don't know if it just, the way I say it doesn't make sense to me, because I interview a lot of people who do MMA too, and that's weight cutting is huge in that. And my whole thing is, the whole thing with MMA, and I won't go too into it because I've talked about it so many times, but like, let's say you're going to compete at 170 pounds. You walk around at 185. So you cut 15 pounds for this tournament, you weigh in the day before at 170, then you spend the next 24 hours rehydrating and gaining weight. And when you step in the cage, you're 185. So why are you fighting at 170? And most people's answer is, well, because everyone does it. Like, no, that's, but if you force them to weigh in the day of the tournament, put a scale right outside the cage and say, you're going to fight at what you weigh when you walk in the cage, not what you weighed last night. Because that, and if both guys are that, then they should both be fighting at 185.
Right.
That's the whole thing, is everyone's doing it. Well, if everyone's doing it, then everyone should fight at the weight they actually are. What's the point of cutting weight if you're going to gain it back before you step into the cage? That makes no sense to me. And it sounds like you agree with me.
Oh yeah, well, it's because people want to go into a lower weight class, because when it comes to physical combative sports, size does matter.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, a 150-pound guy versus a 200-pound guy is a world of difference.
Oh yeah. But like I said, if you're both doing it and you're both gaining the weight back and you're both 15 pounds heavier when you walk into the cage, why say you're 170 when no one in that cage is 170?
Right.
To me, it's just stupid.
Yeah, it's an immoral system that we've developed.
And I'll die on that hill. I will argue that until the day I die. It makes zero sense to me. So,
yeah, let me tell you, there's this young lady. She's 14 years old, right? She competes in wrestling, and she's really into it.
Mm-hmm.
Just earned her junior black belt, and she was telling me that she has to weigh in at like below 100 pounds. She has to be 99 pounds. Bro, she's like 5'2" at 99 pounds. That's emaciated, isn't it?
Dang. Yeah. Wow.
And I'm like, ma'am,
yeah.
I tell you this because I care about you. Please, just take care of yourself, okay?
Yeah. And with wrestling, I still don't approve of it, but I get that when you have 5 kids who all weigh the exact same weight, if they want to compete, they have to either gain weight or lose weight. So to me, that makes a little more sense than MMA, where you're not fighting as a team. On a team, when you have only so many kids, then you have to fill weight classes. And anyone near that weight, well, then, hey, coach, I'm willing to lose 15 pounds so I can actually wrestle. I mean, yes, it's stupid. I still don't agree with it, but at least it makes a little more sense. But still, I could talk about this for hours.
So yeah, I sparred a guy that was 6'2", and it was a close match too. Like the only reason he won was because he caught me in the head one last time at the buzzer. But I stayed inside his guard for like 2 minutes straight. Like if you get really close to him, because the kick is defined as the flexation from the knee down to the foot. So if you get in their femur from their hip to their knee, and that's where you stand, then they can't hit you. So I just stayed on him the whole time. He was trying to back up and stuff, and he was like, "Why are you pushing?" I was like, "I'm not pushing. I'm just staying close to you." I was wailing on him,
Nice.
and I kicked him out of the ring twice. And
That's
then,
awesome.
but then he just tagged me at the last second. And for some reason, like at that time, they didn't take away points for him for going out of the ring. I don't know why.
Okay.
This was in like 2003, I want to say 2004. I don't know if the rules have changed, but he didn't get any gom joms, which is like a penalty.
Yeah.
For getting for getting pushed out of the ring or falling down or like head contact with a fist, things like that, things you shouldn't not supposed to do. But I knocked him out of the ring, and they gave me 1 point. This is back whenever it was 1 point for a kick to the chest and 2 points for a kick to the head.
Yep.
Now it's 2 points for a kick to the chest, 3 points for a kick to the head, and a bonus point for a spinning kick.
Yeah, it's changed.
Yeah, they changed the ratio.
Yep. Talk about your black belt test, because that came before you left for college, right? You got your black belt?
Yes, sir.
Talk about what are some things that you remember about that. I always love talking about, like, especially from different schools, what people had to go through for their black belt test.
Yeah. So there's 2 different sets of patterns that are learned in Taekwondo. One is called the Palgays that Master Jim teaches, and the other one called the Taeguks.
Yeah.
The Taeguks are what Master Ray taught, and that's what became popular in the 80s because they were used for competition.
Yeah.
And he just liked them better, I suppose Master Ray did, because I think he knew both of them.
Mm-hmm.
He only had to for his 5th degree test. And so I had to know all 8 Taeguks, and
Nice.
and he mixed up the order on me, of course. He's like, all right, do Taeguk Ijong. And he's like, all right, now do Taeguk Ojong, which is the 2nd and the 5th patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to know all 8 of those, and then I had nunchucks. We had 10 different nunchuck movements I had to know and memorize and do them well. I was so nervous I hit myself with the nunchuck so many times during the test. And he was like, "Do it again!" Like he would stop me in the middle of the pattern and say, "Do it again! You hit yourself."
Nice.
Yeah, he was real strict. He's also real strict on things like having your uniform nice and clean and pressed.
Yep.
And when bowing properly and the yes sir, no sir, all that kind of stuff he was big on.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then let's see. Then we had 4 different sets of things that I memorized.
Mm-hmm.
So a set of technique is like basic 1 step. He called them Gibon Dojik. Gibon means basic. Dojik is like 1 step or single step motion, counterattack. So they step in and punch, and you do a motion where you hit with the hand or you block with the forearm, and then you step in and do a counterattack. Either with the hands or the feet.
Mm-hmm.
And we had 5 different sets of those. One of them was called basic 1 step, Gibon Dojik, and there's 10 of those in the set, right?
Yep.
So there's 5 sets, 10 each set, 50 things total. One of them is when you just stand still and you do a bunch of jump kicks. Another one is called takedowns, which is completely focused on taking the opponent off their feet and putting them on the ground as fast as possible.
Yep.
And another one was knife self-defense. I had to know 10 of those, which is, important for street brawls. And I always tell people there's a big difference between a sparring match and a fight.
Oh, big time.
Because a fight involves whatever you find on the ground, bricks, rusty screwdriver. A fight involves pulling hair and biting and gouging eyes.
Yep.
Sparring match is very controlled, completely different thing. But what sparring does, and I'll get back to my black belt test in a second. I know I'm going in the weeds a little bit.
Yep.
But what sparring does is it puts us in a state of mind where we have to react. Because a lot of people, whenever something terrible happens, they get in a car accident or a hurricane hits. See, I'm from the South. Hurricanes are a thing down there.
Yep.
Or somebody hits them, or they get in some kind of confrontation and they freeze up. They go into shock. They don't know what to do. They can't move. In sparring, somebody's trying to take your head off. So you have to defend yourself. You're not allowed to freeze up. So get your guard up and get in the zone because you're going to get hit. So it forces you into an uncomfortable situation that you have to get over. You have to work through. So to bring it back to the test, I had to spar against 2 black belts simultaneously, and I didn't have to win. I just had to defend myself adequately.
Nice. Okay.
So it was Master Brian, who was like a 30-something-year-old 5th degree black belt, and then another guy that we had, and they weren't nice. They surrounded me. And it was like, you ever seen one kid in between 2 kids that is pushing them back and forth?
Yep.
It was kind of like that, but with feet.
Nice. That's awesome. Did you find out right away that you passed, or did you have to wait?
Oh, I found out right away after I broke through the brick.
Okay. Nice.
Oh yeah, the breaking was the last thing. I had to. He only had me do 1 brick break with open hand, knife hand.
Okay.
And then I did a chinning kick, which is where you jump and try and kick vertically straight up in the sky as high as you can above your own head.
Yep.
So all the force of the impact is going up above your head.
Yeah.
And he had Mr. Leo, I remember, he had him standing on a chair and then held it above his head. And he's about 5'5".
Yep.
And Master Ray was like, all right, now jump and kick that, break that board. I said, yes, sir. I got to run and start and just jump and boom.
Nice.
Yeah. My mom got it on video back whenever we had videotape to record things.
That's cool. It's surprising how many of my guests I've interviewed with where some of them had to wait up to like a month or two to find out if they passed their test. But a lot of those ones were where they tested in front of a panel. It wasn't just like their instructor. It was a whole panel from their system and stuff. And they found out 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later. And that would drive me crazy if I had to wait that long to find out.
Well, I found out later that Master Ray ordered my black belt certificate, from the TaeKwonDo, like way ahead of time. He knew I was going to destroy that test.
Master Jim did that for me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised when I got it and I'm like, sir, this is dated like a month ago. He's like, I knew you were going to do it, sir. Like, yeah.
Oh, and
you had more confidence than I did.
Yeah. Well, he believed in you. That's good.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, the other break was a speed break. You know what that is?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So a normal break is whenever your helper is holding both sides of the board, right? The top and the bottom, or the right and the left. A speed break is when they only hold one side of the board. So they have one hand on the board and they point it at you. And I did a knife hand speed break with that one, and half the board flew across the room. And then what's more difficult than that, though, is what I'm going to do at this tournament on Saturday in Fergus Falls, is a drop break.
Yep.
Yeah, where you're holding the board yourself and you drop it and you hit it as it's falling down.
I had to do 2 drop breaks for my black belt, and one where the board was just balanced on the ground. I had to do a drop sweeping backspin break. So I had to do 3 with no holders.
Well, so you dropped to your knees, and then backspin swept it?
So balanced it on another board, so it's just sitting by itself, and then dropped to the knees and did the sweeping backspin break. And then I also had to do a drop punch and a drop front kick.
Nice.
I think I had to do, so I technically had 2 black belt tests. So, but my first one, I think I had 10 breaks, and my second one I had 12 breaks.
Okay, so tell me your opinion. What's like breaking a board? I was always taught that if you can break a board, then that's about the same amount of newtons of force that's required to break a person's floating rib, which might be BS. I don't know.
I mean, that's what I think Master Jim taught me 30 years ago. So he used to talk about that when Master Don Larson was doing one of his power breaks at a demonstration. I don't know if you ever got to see him do that. He was known at one of his big break that he used to do at demonstrations. We would take 5 or 6 boards, wrap a competition chest protector Hogu around them, and he would do a punch break and go and break all 6 boards. The man had power. But for his last test, he did that without holders. They had it boards setting down on bricks and put the chest protector. And I think he did 5 or 6 then too. And this was just in the last like 2 years.
So he punched through the chest protector to go through all 6 boards?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. As Master Jim used to introduce him at demonstrations, he's got that old school karate power, that old school 70s, Master Yun type power that he taught. So yeah, that's one guy I would never want to take a full powered punch from. I don't care how old he is. I don't care, whatever. The man hits hard. So I think he's probably the only guy I've ever held stuff for that probably hits as hard as Master Jim, if not harder. Yeah. It was fun to watch some of that stuff.
Funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking about sparring at this tournament on Saturday against Doctor's orders, and Master Jim said, all right, well, let's see if you're ready. So he put on his gear and we started sparring. We were having a good time and everything. I was kind of trying to go like half speed, half strength at first, and then he stopped. He's like, Mr. Addison, hit me. Yes, sir. And his left hook, he caught me square in the in the xiphoid process, tip of the sternum, his left hook, and
yeah,
almost dropped me to the ground, man. I felt the wind leave my lungs.
Yeah, he's that speed. The speed, accuracy, and power on him is insanely impressive.
Yeah.
All right, so you got your black belt, you graduated and decided to go to college. Now, when you decided where you were going to college, did you check ahead of time and make sure they had a martial arts program? Was that in your thought process?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I actually applied for Rice University in Texas.
Okay.
And I never got a letter back.
Oh, wow.
Because I figured I had a 4.0 in high school. Like, high school was easy. It was a freaking joke is what it was. Honestly, my high school was more akin to a prison than an institution of higher learning or education.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was big time prison vibes because, well, I mean, all their parents were in jail.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, don't ever go to another reason why I moved north was because the schools in the southern part of the United States, they have metal detectors for a reason.
Yeah. Not
I
good.
mean, kids are playing dice in the alleyway, bro.
Yeah.
They had dogs searching lockers just about every day.
That's crazy.
So that's why I decided to move my family up here. I would never wish that upon anybody. Anyway, school. So I applied to LSU because it is Louisiana State University. It is the university in Louisiana.
Yep.
And I was accepted to the honors college, and I didn't learn about actually the martial arts program until after I got there. And I went to the recreational facility, which we called the rec, and saw a guy in a martial arts outfit. I was like, "Hey, is that TaeKwonDo?" He's like, "Yes, it is." I was like, "Can I join you for today?" He's like, "Yes, you may." I was like, "Yes, sir. Thank you so much."
Nice.
And the guy, Sean, really tall guy, he went to nationals a couple times. We had maybe like 8 people in the Taekwondo club at LSU.
Okay.
And he was the president of it. And he said that he didn't want to do any of the paperwork anymore. Because he was a postdoc. He had finished his PhD and he was working as a postdoc trying to write papers. He's like, "I got so much stuff on my plate right now. I do not want to be in charge of this club anymore. Can you take care of it, Addison?"
Nice.
And I was like, "Yes, sir. Absolutely. Why not?" Well,
cool.
Yeah, it is. But the story ends sadly.
Yeah.
Despite all of our advertising and everything we tried to get members, it folded.
Dang.
There wasn't enough interest in the student body to actually support a Taekwondo club, sports club. There was more people in the Ultimate Frisbee sports club than the Taekwondo one.
Wow. Dang.
Because it was a party school, quote unquote.
Yeah.
People were, more concerned about getting drunk on the weekends than they were about disciplining themselves. Come on now.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy when I was starting this podcast, I was looking at different colleges just to see and find people. And it's crazy how many don't have any martial arts clubs. Whereas like I talk to people who even like, Morehead State University, Minnesota State University, Morehead, just where I went, when I went there, there was one, but I interviewed someone who went there in the 70s and there was like 4 martial arts clubs on campus in the 70s there. Like, really? NDSU used to have, I don't know if they still have the Shotokan. They used to have at least 3 at NDSU. They used to have Taekwondo, they used to have Shotokan, they used to have Judo. So it's definitely changed a lot. But
yeah, there's still a Taekwondo school. I forget the young man's name, but he's like a 3rd-degree black belt. He's like 24 years old, and he's in charge of the Taekwondo club at NDSU. And apparently they have a lot of members. I keep getting emails about it every semester.
Very cool.
Yeah, he's on like the NDSU listserv and everything. So
nice. So when that ended up folding, is that when you went and found Judo, or was that while you were still doing Taekwondo?
Oh, I did both at the same time. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, there was a Judo club as well, and they also had about 8 members, and we kind of teamed up, and we shared the space sometimes. Like we would trade off. Like I would have it on Mondays and Wednesdays. They'd have it on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
So we clean it up together and whatnot.
How long did you get to train in Judo then?
About a year.
Okay.
Yeah, my junior year of college.
Yeah, that's a good base for it.
Honestly, I probably should have stuck with that a bit more because, well, they said I was a natural, but being because my body shape, because I'm dense and heavy, and my center of gravity is lower than most people.
Yeah.
And just doing like the one where you grab the collar and twist so your back faces your opponent, and then drop to one knee and put them right in front of you. I don't know what it's called in judo, I forgot. But in my first match, I did that, and the referee goes, win, point, and I won. I was like, oh, that was it? That's all I had to do? Just throw this guy on the ground? Let's go. Nice. But then grad school happened, and kind of martial arts kind of didn't happen.
Okay. So then you ended up grad school, and before you moved to Fargo, how long of a break was it with no martial arts?
14, 15 years, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, grad school was 4 years, and then I didn't start up again until my daughter was 6.
Okay.
So that's 10 years, and then probably a little wiggle room there. It was a while.
Yeah.
I don't count it in time. I count it more in like how much I weighed.
Nice.
I was like 250 pounds almost.
Okay.
And which is unhealthy for a guy that's 5'5.5" on a good day.
Yeah.
So I decided to try and take my health more seriously and lose a lot of weight. And I did over the past few years because, Ellie was 6 then. She's 10 now. So we've been doing it for 4 years now.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, though, that break for 10 plus years was not good because when I started up again, I was going headstrong and full bore.
Yep.
Like trying to hit everything as hard as possible. I was, jumping over as many kicking pads as possible.
Trying to pretend you never left.
Exactly. And that's
Been there, done that.
You done that?
Yeah.
How long of a break did you take?
I mean, mine was off and on. I mean, cause so I tested for my black belt initially November of 96. And when I didn't pass, I moved back to California, and then I came back the next year, got married, and I'd come back a couple times, but then it was like my job wouldn't allow it. And then we got married, then we had kids. And then it was finally 2006. So it was almost 10 years when I came back, and I told Master Jim, I said, sir, I'm going to finish that. I'm going to redo my black belt test this year, and worked my butt off for 6 months, dropped 50 pounds, and got my black belt 6 months later. So it was, so it was a good solid 10 years. And then it was, literally getting ready for my second degree test about a year and a half later, and I re-injured my knee again.
Mm-hmm.
And,
that's the thing. Cause like we're doing these, jump 360 roundhouses, and we're landing on one leg.
Yep.
And there's a world of difference between landing on one leg if you weigh 180 versus 250.
Definitely.
And that difference right there is how I tore my first ACL.
Dang. Okay. So I want to hear the story then, how kind of talk about that day when you accidentally found Red River Taekwondo.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out, Ellie was first grade, and pretty much whenever she was from a baby and through preschool, not even through ages 1 through 5, I would drop her off at daycare, go to work, pick her up from daycare, and then it's daddy time. We would come home and we'd be painting, we'd play music, we'd dance,
nice, and
just have a great old time, cook food. And she was a baby. I can't bring her to the gym and work out whenever I have a baby with me. But then when she turned 6, I was thinking, man, we got to do something else other than just going home and playing video games. We got to get active. And we went to the arcade a few times, the Kingpins, and we liked that. So I was like, all right, let's go do that again. But I took like a back road for some reason. I just wanted to explore. It was a beautiful spring day, and I was like, Red River Traditional TaeKwonDo, what's this? I was just driving by the building, and I saw the vinyl decal on the front of the garage door of a guy in a uniform like meditating. I was like, let's go test this out.
Nice.
Walked in there, and it was like my teenage years just came back to me. It's like I was flooded with emotion. I was like, oh, it smells like sweat. They have kicking bags. There are kids saying words like "kiap." Like, is this heaven? I'm back finally. And I introduced myself, and I was like, "Hi, is it okay if Miss Ellie tries it out real quick?" And he's like, "Oh, absolutely. The first 2 weeks are free. She's welcome to hop in this class right here. That's starting in a few minutes." It was Miss Kaylee, little second degree black belt lady.
Nice. Okay.
You know her?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, a little sweetheart.
Yep.
She was so polite and everything. I was like, they say yes, sir. Like, this is a different world. And then Ellie went in there and stood in line at 6 years old. And sure enough, she just shouted, "Yes, sir," a little voice. and then they played, I think it was like maybe dodgeball in her first class.
Okay.
It was penguin soccer.
Penguin soccer. Nice. I love.
You remember that at 6 years old? Yeah. They played penguin soccer where they tie their feet together awesome. with a belt, and then you got to hop and kick a beach ball, or not a beach ball, a little heavier, but like a yoga ball to hit these targets, which are kicking shields that are stood up on either side. It really reminds me of foosball, to tell you the truth.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, she just had this biggest smile on her face, and after the class, she goes, "Dad, can we do that again?" I was like, "Yeah."
Nice.
And then I introduced myself to Master Jim at the end of that class, and I was like, "Sir, I got my first degry 16 years ago. Do you need help?" He goes, "Oh, I highly encourage black belts to help in every class." Yeah.
That's awesome. So what was your first impression then in your first adult class with Master Jim?
My first impression was I need to lose some weight.
This is harder than it used to be.
Right, yeah. But it was fun. I probably had the biggest, goofiest smile on my face, hitting things hard for the first time in 16 years, bro.
Yep.
Like, it felt like a relief, like weight off my shoulder. Like, oh, this is what it feels like to get your emotions out into a boxing glove.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was impressed with the whole structure. And it's called traditional Taekwondo for a reason. And I didn't like the fact that he taught the Palgay patterns. I wanted to relearn the Taeguk.
See, for a short time, he talked about, back in the early 2000s, he talked about introducing the Taeguk, and I'm so glad he didn't, because I've never been a fan of him. The thing is, I've never been a fan of pattern in general. It's my least favorite part of martial arts is the pattern. But if I'm going to do them, I'd rather do to me, it's just, in my opinion, the Palgay, the look of them, they look more traditional. I think the Taeguk look a little, they're, shorter stances. They're a little more, I think modern in my opinion, but
yeah. I mean, and so I've learned both in my life. I promptly forgot most of the Taeguks in the 16-year hiatus.
Yep.
But I can still, it's funny though, when I go to, and I referee tournaments here, Fergus Falls, Alexandria, one in Minneapolis, and I see like Taeguk or the Paljong, and I'm like, oh, I know that one. That's Taeguk Paljong.
Nice.
And then they look at me and go, yes, it is. And then like one of the masters like, what's that pattern? I go, oh, that's Palge Samjong. And what's that pattern? Oh, that's Taeguk Iljong. And like it clicks in my head again, even though my muscle memory is gone from it, or it might still be there. I don't know. I gotta. I'm about to Google and look up the Taeguks on YouTube right now.
There you go.
My muscle memory is still there.
Awesome though. So talk about when he pitched the idea of you doing a sparring class, kind of how that came about.
Well, let's see. It was after one of the adult classes where we did sparring and we did drills, and then he was like, Mr. Addison, would you like to spar with me? I say, oh, yes, sir. Absolutely. Please. And we punched and kicked each other until everybody else went home.
Nice.
Yeah, the class ended. He's like, Mr. Addison, you want to go again? I was like, yes, sir. And then we hit each other, and he caught me with his combo. It was like a lead leg slide in front side kick, which is just a fake, really.
Yep.
And then like a left punch, and then a circulating kick over the top. So the first two attacks are just a distraction for the third attack to hit. And a circulating kick just nailed me right in the temple and turned my headgear around. And I just busted out laughing. Awesome. And I mean, he rung my bell,
Yep.
And he started laughing. He's like, I've never hit somebody so hard just to have them laugh at me. They was having a great time hitting each other. And at the end of that, he says, Mr. Addison, I've been kicking around the idea of a Friday sparring class. Would you like to head that up? And I was like, put me in, coach.
Nice.
And I said, yes, sir. I would love that. It'd be an honor. I mean, that's the thing, man. Like, I don't understand why other black belts don't show up and help out more. The way I was taught was that it is your duty to serve the Taekwondo community. As a black belt, whoever's the highest belt in your region, you show up and put in the work.
I think I know, because I've had this conversation with Master Jim so many times. He will never require it. Because I always told him, sir, once they get to black belt, they no longer have to pay for lessons and stuff. You should make it a deal. So you don't have to pay for lessons, but you have to help with 2 classes a month. Don't make it, don't make it so like 1 a week. Just make them do 2 classes. And he's like, I don't want to require people. I don't want to force them to come in. It's just kind of, that's how he explained it to me before. He didn't want to force them to have to help. He wanted them to want to. But I've had like so many of my guests that run schools, like, no, once they hit black, they're required. They have to. You have to. It's like, to get to your second degree, you have to have this many hours of teaching under your belt and stuff. And I'm like, he won't do that. But I mean, like I said, I've been to some of his classes. But I mean, I did a class. I can't remember if you were in this one or not. This is might have been about 5 years ago, 4 years ago. It might have been before you joined. I can't remember, but it was a June class on like a Friday night. And there was over 30 people in the class and over 20 were black belts. That was the most black belts I had ever seen in one of his classes, let alone it being a summer in June on a Friday night. And it was like 20 black belts and like 14 color belts. It's like, wow.
And that's great. That's wonderful that they show up for their class. But my question is, where are they whenever it's the kids' classes?
Yep, exactly.
Like that's when you got to it's about teaching and passing on the lessons to the next generation.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
It's your responsibility.
Trust me. I agree. And I realize, yes, people have lives. And they don't have to commit to do it all the time. But yeah, like I said, do 1 or 2 a month. If every one of his black belts did 1 or 2 a month, he'd have helpers at every class easily. He definitely has enough black belts for that.
And one of the big philosophies that I've always told myself is, not only should we give and serve, but we should be grateful for the opportunity to serve.
Yeah, I like that.
Because that is how you kind of inch your way towards immortality when you think about it. Because what lives on after you die?
Yeah. Stories,
your stories, your lessons, how you've influenced other people. That's the only thing that lives on. Well, that in biology, if you have kids, but that's about it.
And hopefully my podcast.
It'll be locked in a hard drive somewhere in a safe underground once the bombs drop. Don't worry.
Honestly, the stories is the reason I do this, because of that. I mean, I've had, I think now four of my previous guests have now passed away. So it's like, I'm so glad I got to record that and got, have that for them, their kids to listen to and their students to listen to and stuff. So definitely. But no, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was literally my next question was, I was going to ask you about a favorite philosophy you've learned. You answered it before I even asked it. So I love it. Yeah. That is so cool.
Oh, I remember last time we talked, you said something about like my favorite martial arts book.
That's coming up. That'll be in a little bit.
Okay.
Yep. We'll get to that one.
All right.
The first one, though, this one, worst, maybe I know it because we've talked a little bit, but worst martial arts related injury. Is it the ACL, or have you had a worse one?
Let's see. Okay. I have one fake tooth.
Okay.
And I've told like 5 different people 5 different stories about how that happened. But I'll tell you the truth. It actually wasn't martial arts. It was a winter guard, flag spinning.
Oh wow! Really?
Which translates to bow staff pretty handily.
Yep, true.
I did a basket toss, and I did a cartwheel, then I landed in a split, because I could do a split back when I was 16 years old. And I tried to catch the flag right in my hand above my head as I'm in the split, and it slipped right past my fingers, and the whole flag just gone right there, all the force of it on my tooth.
Dang.
And I spit it out, but the dentist did great work replacing it with a veneer.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then after I had braces, I had like a metal bracket put like behind my lower teeth, and that was annealed on with the kind of like cement that they use.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught a backspin, a heel kick at a tournament when we called them wheel kicks back in the day. The wheel kick, the backspin, where you spin and hit with the heel.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught one of those right to the lower jaw that broke all the cement in my lower bracket of my teeth.
Yep.
So I spit those out in the middle of the tournament. That was fun. But it was funny, though, because that point didn't even count, because he hit me with like a low backspin at the same time that I clocked him with a left high roundhouse. The judges saw their high roundhouse. They didn't see the low backspin that hit me in the jaw.
Dang. That's crazy. Well, it's funny you talk about that, because I talked about earlier how I have an extreme high tolerance for pain. And I was helping teach a class one time, and I was holding targets for a green belt. This was back in 90s. This is probably like 95, 96. Young green belt named Mr. Hui, a young Vietnamese guy, amazing ability. I was holding target for turning side kick and did like 3 in a row, perfect turning side kicks. And on the 4th one, he threw a backspin. Hit me right in the jaw. Hard as can be. The kid kicked hard. And I just kind of shook my head and went back down, getting ready for another turning side kick. Master Jim comes running over. He's like, "Sir, are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine, sir." He goes, "Mr. Bryan, are you okay?" I'm like, "Sir, I'm fine." He goes, "You should be unconscious right now. Are you okay?" I'm like, "Sir, it didn't hurt." I've taken like 3 hard shots to the head, 2 from martial arts and 1 completely different. And never, I just high tolerance for pain. So
Well, it's interesting that martial arts does tend to attract people that are slightly neurodivergent.
Definitely.
I mean, if we're paying money for somebody to teach us how to kick each other in the head, and we're punching each other in the stomachs to build our ab muscles. What are we doing with our lives?
That is true. So earlier you mentioned nunchucks and stuff. I'm wondering, is there a favorite martial arts weapon? Is it nunchucks? Is there another one that you enjoy more? And if not, is there one that you haven't trained in yet that you want to learn?
Well, nunchucks teach us control, because it's a weird weapon that flops all over the place.
Yep.
And it also teaches us that it's okay to make mistakes, because everybody drops them. So that's an important lesson. Bow staff teaches us simplicity.
Yep.
Because in a world that's so complicated, sometimes it's best that we just keep things simple. The sai teaches us that sometimes conflict can be resolved not with violence, but by simply disarming your opponent.
Nice.
Because, I mean, that's what it's designed for, is to break swords.
Yep.
And it's not designed to kill, they're blunted.
Yeah.
You can do wrist locks and throws to stop the conflict from happening rather than taking a life, which is why Master Splinter gave them the Raphael, because he had anger issues. And then the sword only has one job. It's to take a life.
Yeah.
So the only reason to ever use that is if you're in a dire situation that you should not be in otherwise.
Yeah.
But you'll find that with Leonardo, the leader of the Turtles, he was the one that was entrusted with the double katana, and yet in the comics at least, he almost never used them.
True.
He would always disarm the opponents and throw them to the ground and try and talk his way out of it and try and run away. Do all the other things you're supposed to do first before you're allowed to draw your weapons. But when he did draw them, the other turtles knew that it was time to get serious. So I would like to learn pole arms.
Oh, okay.
Like the Gurasame or the Ransur.
Mm-hmm.
Or I remember I'm a big fan of the halberd. It was used by knights of old for a good reason.
Okay. Definitely one no one's ever picked before, so I like that. Okay.
What else have you heard?
I mean, you name it. A lot of people pick knives. My personal favorite, I like tonfa. That's always been one of my favorite weapons. A few people have picked 3-sectional staff, which I've tried. Master Jim's a master at that thing. I've tried, and I just that's one I can't get. I'm not a fan of that one. Yeah, different ones. I mean, like the Irish club, or the Irish stick, I think it's called, the shillelagh.
Oh yeah, with the big knot at the end of it.
Yep, I actually interviewed a guy who teaches the shillelagh and stuff, and so the Irish stick. A few people have mentioned that one just because of hearing that episode and stuff. So it really does vary. You know, a few people have said a gun. I'm like, oh, that's yeah, I get it, but that's also boring. Come on. So yeah, no, it's good.
Did you grow up hunting?
I didn't know. My dad did, my uncles did, my cousins did. I learned how to shoot. I was just never a huge fan. You know, I think I went hunting once in my life.
Yeah, my dad always said hunting's less about actually killing the thing, and it's more about the beer you drink along the way.
See, and I'm not a drinker, so maybe that's why I never hunted. So there you go. So coming from a traditional martial arts background, what are your thoughts on MMA and the UFC? Is that something you're a fan of?
Well, I'm not a fan of it for sure. I don't really watch it or pay attention to it too much.
That's okay.
It seems, violent.
Yeah.
And I honestly I'm not comfortable with people celebrating such violence because it's something that we should be ashamed of. Like, so the idea of celebrating it and placing bets on it and being happy that somebody gets hurt rubs me the wrong way.
I get that. I mean, I used to judge it, and I lost the taste for it. I judged probably close to 1,000 fights, you know, over like a little over a decade. And I literally almost saw someone die in the cage. And that's kind of when it started turning for me. Like, yeah, no, maybe it's not as cool as I thought. I mean,
I've always found that like using combat sports as a training mechanism to teach us how to react and how to handle ourselves in an intense situation, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But full contact violence, try to hurt the other person in any way as possible as a sport, I mean, I can watch it. It makes me think, like, do these two people respect each other? Are they actually angry at each other? Do they hate each other? Do they feel remorse afterwards? And those kind of questions run through my head, which, I mean, you really shouldn't. Like, I've broken a guy's nose in a ring before, and I felt terrible.
And you should.
You okay?
Yeah.
But the thing is that he was a complete gentleman about it. He like, his nose is just flooding blood. It's all over his uniform everywhere, all the floor. And he goes, "It was my fault. I should have blocked my head." When that's a sign of a true martial artist. Like, if you get kicked in the head, that's your fault. You should have blocked it.
That's awesome, actually. All right. I got a few fun questions we use to wrap up the interview. So obviously we're just talking about like MMA, and like I said, not something you're a fan of, but let's just say hypothetically, you decided at some point you were going to do it. You were going to walk into that octagon. Well, what's your walk-up music going to be? What song's playing as you take that walk into the cage?
Going off the rails on a crazy train.
I love it.
Or I am Iron Man.
Nice.
Dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. Something like that.
That's a good one. A lot of people have picked that one. Iron Man, I think. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, a good EDM song. Honestly, I'm kind of a big fan of like Ellie Goulding and Lindsey Sterling.
Okay.
I probably just put on like some violin dubstep.
Nice. There you go. All right. Who are 3, 4, 5 names you'd put on your personal Mount Rushmore of martial arts?
I mean, I guess Master Ray, Master Brian, Master Jim. Let's put Kim Jeong Rock, who wrote the manuals on Taekwondo that I read when I was younger. I still have that in my bag, actually.
Okay.
Bruce Lee and Jet Li, why not?
Hey,
honestly, I don't know names of martial artists, like famous ones.
Hey, those are good ones, man. Those are really good ones.
That's like, you know, honestly, I mean, I get that martial arts movies help bring more people into trying it out for the first time, which is great.
Yeah.
It's good advertising. But also, we should not glorify violence. And I'm a guy who grew up, like I said, with Power Rangers.
Yeah.
But the lessons that we learned were that violence is a last resort that's only to be used after you've done 3 things. Do you know what those 3 things? Miss Ellie, do you know what those 3 things are?
First thing is talk your way out of it. Second thing is run away. Third thing, wait, no. Second, wait, no, I was
You
wrong.
got it. Just let the thought flow. You got it.
Second thing is running away. Third thing is calling for help.
That's right.
Nice.
Call for an adult, or if you are an adult, call for the police. And
Call for
only
just,
after you've
anyone.
exhausted those 3 options are you allowed to ever engage in violence. So, and lots of martial arts movies. I mean, like I do enjoy Kung Fu Hustle. Not gonna lie, because it's a comedy.
Yep.
You know that the guy's he's a rubber band man. He's made of rubber. It's silly, you know. And like in Power Rangers, there's Megazords fighting, things like that.
Yep.
But those are like, you know, Sunday school specials where they teach you the moral lessons as well, and why they should not have had to do what they had to do.
Right.
And that's an important component of it. So yeah, becoming famous through violence, I think, is immoral. But I'm a hard ass. Don't listen to me.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, the one you knew was coming. How about a favorite martial arts book?
Well, the only martial arts book I've read is the Kim Jeong Rock, which is the manuals of Taekwondo.
Really? That's the only one you've ever read? Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend Zen in the Martial Arts by Joe Hyams.
Okay.
If you have any inkling to read another martial arts book, I highly suggest that one. It's a great book. That's one of my all-time favorites.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Zen, because I was actually going to tell you that one of my favorite books is called Zen Flesh, Zen Bones.
Nice. Okay.
And that's kind of where I get a lot of my teaching philosophy from. Can I tell you a story from there?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So the book is a collection of stories from around 400 to 800 AD in China.
Okay.
And this is a period of time where there were a lot of charlatans walking around claiming that their messiah or their religion or their prophet was the correct one.
Okay.
And the whole reason they did that was to get money, to get fame, to try and get followers.
Mm-hmm.
So they can be some kind of big time prophet walking around, like teaching people the way of enlightenment, things like that. This is during like when the Zen Buddhism was first being formed.
Yeah.
And so there's this one, maybe a charlatan, maybe an enlightened, you know, prophet, who knows? But he had a group of people around, and he said that the one that I follow is so powerful that he can hold up a quill with ink on one side of the river and write in the air, and the writing will appear on the paper on the other side of the river. He can write across space. This man from the audience says, "Your fox can do that trick, but my miracle is that when I'm hungry, I eat, and when I'm tired, I sleep."
Nice.
So, bow staff,
Yeah.
simplicity.
That's cool. I like it. One other book you might, maybe you won't like it, but Master Jim's one who recommended this one to me years ago. It's a book on the true history of Taekwondo. It's called A Killing Art, written by Alex Gillis. Is his author's last name is Gillis, but
Alex Lewis.
yeah,
I'm writing this down.
Especially for people who Taekwondo, it's a different take on the history of Taekwondo, and it's very interesting. I'll let you be the judge. If you do decide to read it, let me know what you think. I'm really curious. So
Yeah, no, I love reading. I mean, I grew up with Socrates and Plato and Aristophanes or Aristophanes, but we always called it Aristophanes.
nice. I have a few hundred martial arts books, and I used to read a book a week. I'm like you. I used to love reading. And when I started this podcast, it took away most of my free time, and I've read maybe 2 to 3 books in the last 5 years, unfortunately, because I just don't. When I have any free time, I'm working on my podcast. But
Free time, what's that?
I know exactly. So, but I have, if you want to get into more martial arts books, let me know. I have stacks and stacks that are waiting to be read because I don't have time. Master Jim actually has one of mine right now, a book that one of my guests wrote. It was like 1,500 years of Russian fighting arts, and like the history of like Russian, Ukrainian, Kazakhstan, the different fighting arts from that region. And he is like 800 pages, and he's like, "Can I read it?" I'm like, "Yes, sir." Like, I'm not going to get to this for probably a couple of years, so gladly borrow it, read away. So I'm curious to get his take on it, if he's finished it yet or started it yet. But yeah, I borrowed it to him a few months ago. So
There's a certain point when you study different ways to kill a person that I know, right?
yeah,
Striking the temple or to stop the fight, to hit the floating rib, back of the head, spinal cord, things like that. There's a certain point where you start to kind of see people as just meat.
yeah,
You don't want to cross that threshold.
yeah,
It gets really dark really quick.
yep.
And yeah. So, I mean, 100 years of fighting martial arts, that sounds really interesting.
1,500 years. Yeah.
1,500
Yeah.
years.
Yep. Yeah.
But I'm curious though, how many types of punches are there?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, there's thousands of styles of martial arts, but yeah, there's only so many ways to throw a kick, throw a punch, take someone down, do an arm
Exactly.
bar.
I think we've kind of like narrowed it down to the best few with the various martial arts that we have today.
Yeah, and a few of my guests that have studied styles that no longer exist, that literally they were only studied in certain villages and like certain countries and by certain families, and those families died off. And now the art is missing forever. I'm like, wow, things like that. It's like, that's another reason, like hearing those stories and hearing about that stuff like that. So it's really cool.
Well, you're right. Because I mean, like, as they say, the more you learn, the more you realize how little you know.
Exactly. All right. This question you may or may not have an answer for. It's 50-50 with my guess, but do you have a favorite martial arts video game? Did you ever get into gaming?
I mean, Street Fighter.
Nice.
They had Double Dragon back in the day. That was a side scrollers. I really did enjoy the side scrollers arcade games. And of course, the Ninja Turtle arcade side scrollers are a classic.
Yep. I remember the original Ninja Turtles game when it hit arcades when I was younger, and it had the 4 controllers, so you could 4 people at once, each being one of the Ninja Turtles. It was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. All right, how about a favorite martial arts TV show?
Okay, well, there was a bunch of Power Rangers spin-offs, right?
Yeah.
There's Big Bad Beetleborgs. There's VR Troopers, and there was a few more. Martial arts TV show. I don't know. Let me come back to that one.
Okay. And I gotta ask, as a fan of Power Rangers, did you ever watch WMAC Masters?
WMAC Masters?
Yeah.
What's that? No.
Dude. Okay, you gotta look it up, and you gotta watch some episodes on YouTube. It came out in, was it 96, 97? So it's basically a lot of these guys who used to fight in tournaments. They're big tournament guys, and some of these guys were like in the suits for the Ninja Turtles and stuff, in the suits for the Power Rangers. And they created the show. Shannon Lee was actually the host of it. Bruce Lee's daughter was the host of it. It was it only lasted 2 seasons, but there's a push. They're bringing it back, which is kind of cool. So I've interviewed a handful of the people who are on that show. I've also interviewed some of the Power Rangers, some of the Ninja Turtles and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
Nice. Let me ask you, what's your opinion on things like Mortal Kombat?
I mean, I enjoyed the movie. It's, as entertainment. I've interviewed a handful of guys from that too. I mean, anything to do with martial arts, I'll watch it at least once. So I've seen a ton.
I like the video game, the very violent video game.
I was never huge into video games. So I mean, I preferred Tekken, but I mean, I played Mortal Kombat, I played Tekken, I played Double Dragon, but I don't think I ever owned any of them.
Killer Instinct.
Yeah, I played them with friends and stuff every now and then, but I was never a huge gamer. So
okay. I don't know. I've always thought, like, if there's a lot of gore, then maybe it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
But also, like, when I was, like, 10, 11, 12, that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen,
Yeah.
Like, oh, he just ripped his heart out, dude.
But, like, me, when they came out, I was, like, 18.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit older. I mean, we didn't really, when I was 10, that was 1984. We didn't really have violent video games back then. I mean, you had, the Commodore 64, the Atari 2600, the Nintendo hadn't even come out yet. So, yeah, I was more an adult when that stuff came out, but yeah. All right. Come back to the TV show one. How about a favorite martial arts movie?
The cheesier, the better. Have you ever seen Kung Fu Hustle?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. I found it funny, but also annoying at the same time. It was the strangest. it was the strangest mix of emotions.
Yep.
Double Dragon was also extremely cheesy.
Nice.
I know that counts as a martial arts movie. Oh, Three Ninjas, Surf Ninjas. Surf Ninjas is so good,
dude. Yes, I just rewatched that like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had the video game console that can control reality, man.
Kwon, dude. Dude, I love that. So I've actually met Ernie Reyes Jr., who starred in that. I've been trying to get him on the show for like 4.5 years. So yeah.
I still remember the names of the Three Ninjas. It was Colt, Rocky, and Tum Tum.
I think so. That sounds right. Yep.
And they had masks and stuff. Oh man! It was like Home Alone, whenever the burglars tried to attack their house. Like they beat them up with martial arts. Oh man,
that's awesome. That's really cool. All right, this one you may or may not have an answer for, but hopefully you will. Now, this one doesn't have to be a martial arts movie. Any movie you've seen in your whole life, a favorite movie fight scene. Is there just one that stands out? And I've had people pick anything from Star Wars to Marvel to the Princess Bride sword fight scene to anything goes.
Actually, it's funny, but you mentioned that we did watch the Princess Bride on a plane ride to Hawaii this past summer.
Nice.
There was a recent series. Oh man, I'm trying to remember the name of it. There was this wonderful bow staff fight. These two guys with swords were attacking this one guy with a bow staff, and I was like, "There's no way. This is BS." And he used every bow staff technique that I have seen in patterns and forms, and like over the past years, and it was incredible. What was the name of that series? The Magic Circle or something? It recently came out on like Amazon.
Okay. Huh. Interesting. I'll have to try to figure that one out. That doesn't ring a bell.
I'll text it to you later. I'm so sorry.
That's cool. Go ahead.
Other than that, I'm also a fan of the Lord of the Rings.
Nice.
The second one, whenever all the Uruk-hai try and take Helm's Deep, that's one of my favorite war scenes. Also, I really like old war movies. Band of Brothers on History Channel is absolutely incredible.
Very cool.
Because that's real violence.
yeah, definitely. All right, so do you come back? Do you have an answer for the TV show one?
I don't remember any martial arts TV shows other than all the stuff we've already mentioned from the 90s.
Walker, Texas Ranger, that was a big one. Highlander.
Yeah. Oh, Highlander was good. You're right. Yeah.
Into the Badlands was a good one recently.
Oh, I love Into the Badlands.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding me of that one. It's such a good show.
Yeah, it was an amazing show. Have you watched Warrior yet?
I have not watched Warrior.
Oh, you have. If you have Netflix, I believe it's still on there. The short version of the story is back in the early 70s, Bruce Lee had an idea for a show called Warrior, and he pitched it to the network, and they turned him down. And that's when they went on and created Kung Fu. But his daughter, Shannon, found his pitch notes and found his notebook and the ideas for the show and got it made 50 years later. And it ran for 3 seasons. I think it was originally on AMC maybe, but Netflix, I believe, still has it, all 3 seasons. Amazing martial arts, great acting, great storylines. There's definitely some violence, but I love it. It's worth a watch. It's one of my favorites. So
yeah, I'm looking it up now. Andrew Koji, Diane Doan, Olivia Ching. All right, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know what you think, definitely, because it's. I recommend it to a lot of my guests who haven't watched it yet. But yeah, it's to me, it's up there with Into the Badlands. I love them both a lot.
Ooh, The Wheel of Time. That was a series.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've heard of it.
Like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's kind of like far out there. But there's this one scene where this guy just fights these 2 sword wielding bros and just completely whips him with a bow staff, and like it looks extremely like they must have had a martial artist come and choreograph it with them. It's really well done.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll add it to my list. Well, seriously, Addison, this has been so much fun. I know we talked about this for probably a year. I'm glad we finally made it happen and scheduled the time and stuff. You have an amazing story. Seriously, I loved hearing your story. I knew very little about your background. I'm so glad we got to do this, and I think the listeners are really going to love this one.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Can I tell one more story from Zen Flesh, Zen Bones?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. So there's a hermit living in the woods all by himself. One day, a thief sneaks into his house, and he hears him. He's pretending to sleep. It's in the middle of the night. The thief rummages through all the stuff, starts taking everything: bags, clothes, coins, anything he could find that's valuable. And as the thief is about to leave, the hermit shouts, "Hey, hold on. You missed the 5 gold pieces in my top drawer. Come get it." So the thief kind of like, is this a trap? But he goes and he opens up the drawer and takes out the coins and starts to leave. Then the hermit goes, "Oh, hold on. Here." He takes off his blanket that he was covered up with and gives it to the thief. He says, "Here, take that too." And the thief just says, "Okay," and just runs away. So then the thief spends the next few months of his life spending all the money, all the possessions that he stole. He gambles, he drinks, he hangs around with the women of the night, and he has a great life for a couple months. Then he runs out of the money, and he has nothing. He spends the next few months in poverty, begging and trying to steal some more. But then he thinks back, why did that guy give me all his stuff? So he goes back to the hermit, finds the same place, and he's just gardening. And he says, "Why did you give me all the stuff?" And the hermit says, "Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to help you." And at that moment, the thief became his student. And that thief then grew to become one of the greatest teachers of Zen Buddhism in the Eastern world.
That's awesome.
And he becomes enlightened because at the end of all these stories, somebody becomes enlightened.
Oh, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of how all the stories of that book went.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to check out that book. I like it. Cool. Well, seriously, man, so much fun, and I can't wait to get this out there for all the listeners to hear.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Brian. This was great. I never knew that I could talk. people and convince them of things. I don't know, man. Let me know if people actually listen to this.
Wrap up today's episode by taking your own training to the next level with Martial Theory by Steve Perlman, the book that's redefining martial arts thinking. Find Martial Theory on Amazon today. Join the worldwide movement at martialtheoryu.com, where you'll find Q&A sessions, live events, and direct guidance from Steve himself. Use code EverydayMA for 20% off for life. That's martialtheoryu.com, code EverydayMA. Thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist. We hope you will join us every week for a brand new episode with a different martial artist telling their story. If you enjoy the show, be sure to leave us a review. Also, be sure to check out our website at everydaymartialartist.com. There you can find all of our episodes and contact us to suggest guests and ask questions. Again, thanks for listening to Everyday Martial Artist, and we'll see you next week.